2026. Are there any errors or omissions? Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. Councillor Martinson, any questions or comments? None. All those in favor of approval? Carried. Moving on then to business arising, and we're now on to page 38, the Sports Palace Solutions. And, oh, I thought we had our recreation director here. Oh,
Yeah. So
is she coming back?
Probably not.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, we would delay until she came back.
No.
Okay, well, CEO, please introduce the topic.
Well, this was in front of council at the previous council meeting. I need direction. Administration needs direction so that we can contact MPE to have them go forward with installing those steel saddles on the glulam beams and to provide us with design options and estimates for either rehabilitation of the Sports Palace or a brand new arena facility.
This is a big topic, and we've been sort of gnawing away on this one for some time. And we're going to have to, at some point, make up our mind just what is the scope of the project in front of us. Okay, so we'll start going around the table and hearing your comments on this. But, you know, we're obviously faced with at least that short-term solution that was presented to us last time, which is really just the saddles, I think, on the 3 beams. But we have a larger issue there, as everybody knows. I mean, there were leaks all over, and everywhere where something was built onto something, it leaked. And we do have the age of the building to consider. So let's go around the table, and starting with Councillor Shunter, any questions or comments?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Councillor Temple.
No, nothing for me.
Councillor Martinson.
I would like to see this, the first part of the motion being passed tonight, not to go on to look for designs for a CD estimate cost.
No, I was going to treat this as 2 separate items.
Okay.
Councillor Minderline.
Yeah, I concur with that. I think we need to look after the stuff that needs to be done in the short term, but the longer term, I think we need a lot more discussions, community wise amongst ourselves, with users and everything else. So I think if we just went that first section, I'm good with that. Look after the short term.
Yeah, I agree. I think we need to get that short-term recommendation dealt with. And then everything else, the long-term solution can wait until we have more information.
Can I interject here?
Just wait, we'll just have one. Deputy Mayor, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I like the short term, but I'm glad to see that they fixed the exhaust stacks.
Anything else?
That's it.
I think we have to start with the short term, but we have to get a vision of what will be there in X number of years clear in our minds. Okay? I'll talk a little bit more about that, but David, you have a comment?
Yeah, 2 or 3 of you have mentioned, want to wait for more information. Well, to get more information, I need direction to tell somebody to give us more information. So the public, as you're well aware, does want at least a major rehabilitation of the Sports Palace, if not a multiplex facility to and there's, you know, do we put these options in front of them and tell them the, you know, tax effects of this, the municipal tax effects, for them to make an educated, you know, decision. And generally, they'll probably want us to go cheaper, but at least we'll put these options in front of them because many have requested a multiplex facility, and that is very expensive.
So right now, we were going to I would have dealt with this, the recommended option one as two separate pieces in any way. You can't have a motion that has two such significant, quite different parts. I think David's right in that we have to, at some point, quit just discussing this. We have to arrive at a vision, and we have to arrive at a price list for that vision. And I think the time is getting shorter. We have a committee of the whole meeting 1 week from today, and I'm already suggesting that we deal at that meeting the request that came to us for the Grand Prairie donation. I'm sure that we want to talk about that in greater depth. We have obviously questions arising from the financial statements we approved today, and that we'll take a much deeper dive into the financial statements a week from today. I think we also need to have a final sort of discussion of what the vision is for the Sports Palace. I can tell you right now, I'm getting a lot of mixed feelings from the community. I just had an encounter yesterday with somebody who quite vehemently said, tear down the Sports Palace, tear down the curling rink, and fix up the Buchanan Center. That's all we need as a community. And it's a view. It's a legitimate view. Others, of course, want still 2 sheets of ice, rinks, and all of that. My own view is that we need to finish the Buchanan Center. I think that's, you know, in terms of that large room that is still unused, clearly we need to do something with that. We can't continue having that just sitting there with old paint cans in it. I think we need to finish the Buchanan Center, and then we need to say, okay, what are we going to have? Are we going to convert the Buchanan Center into what is really a sort of a small multiplex and replace the Sports Palace or whatever? But we need to get to a decision point on this vision. We have to have something to take to the public. We have to have something to take the MPE and say, okay, give us an estimate of this vision. And I don't think we're ready for that. And I can tell from Councillor Martinson's viewpoint that to do that tonight, but we're getting very close to it. We can't keep putting it off. I think all of us agree that those 6 saddles have to be put on. And yeah, you know, and I think we all agree that the water management has probably not been done as carefully as it should have been done, particularly in this winter, but then we had exceptional snow. But clearly there are things that we can do. Okay. So we have a motion in front of us that council direct administration to proceed with plans to implement the short-term solution as identified by MBE. If David, please come to us, what with some specificity is included in the short-term plan referred to in the motion as written?
Short-term solution as described on the first page of the report to council. The 68,000 plus or minus 15 to 20% contingency. And repairs to the building envelope to eliminate water infiltration into the structure. And we don't know the cost of that yet.
Okay, that's what the first part addresses. We have a piece of that first part that we have a relatively certain number on, 68,000, plus a percentage estimate for contingency. What is also in the short term is not priced out. We don't have a price. Do we have an estimate?
No, not at this time.
We have counselors around this table who I think are quite apt at being able to give us ballpark numbers. So let's go around the table again and address just the first part of the recommendation, this short-term solution. Are there any questions, comments, helpful suggestions, whatever? Counselor Hanlon.
So the 68,000 plus, what budget would that come out of?
David?
This one would be out of our, it's really maintenance, so out of the operating budget. So if we go over budget on the maintenance for the Sports Palace, that may be what will happen. And we'll, by the end of the year, right now for 2025, we have a surplus of 400 and some odd thousand after all the adjustments that were made throughout the year. So the same thing in 2026. So it'll come out of unrestricted surplus for the year, basically.
So I heard two different budgets, one out of the operating budget and one out of unrestricted reserve.
Or your operating surplus at the end of the year, or it could be less of a surplus because we've gone over budget. Yeah, so it's unrestricted. So it's, yeah.
Okay. Counselor Mignolet. Counselor Martins. Counselor Temple. Counselor Shunter. Deputy Mayor. I am totally surprised by all of you. You're going to approve an unspecified expenditure. Counselor Shunter, I'm amazed.
I will come back to council with the estimate once you direct me to go forward to ask them to get an estimate.
That's not what's happening today.
I,
We got this stuff reversed.
I do have a
I'm
question.
a
Mr.
little
Mayor.
reluctant to do a reversal of decisions.
I do-
Counselor Temple.
I do have a question. Earlier on in another council meeting, we were told the roof repair over the dressing room was around 20,000, wasn't it? Weren't we given an estimate to fix that roof?
yeah, that's what I had heard. I don't know if you've heard anything.
That's what we approved, yes.
Yes. I think it was
Yeah, and
20,000.
that was in our capital, in fact.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so are we worried about the roof on the Sports Palace, the shingles on the Sports Palace?
Well, that's a good
What's
question.
on there? Tin is on there?
Good.
Are we,
Yeah.
it's good?
And there's nobody here brave enough to say and give queasy little old me just a ballpark I can hang on to. Is it $100,000 for the unstated, or is it 50,000, or is it 280? Yeah, hey. Counselor Temple is trying to queue up someone else so he doesn't have to say anything.
I'll reiterate what I said at the committee of the whole, because weren't all around the table for the committee of the whole. My thoughts on it is if we hadn't done anything, we would have been fined for 5 more years and we'd have time to put up a new Sports Palace. But because we went and got the engineering report and the engineers identified an issue, now if we don't do anything and something happens, we look liable. So we're kind of stuck in a spot where we got to spend it no matter what. We shot ourselves in the foot. We should have turned the blind eye.
If we had stayed, if
Good
we had
point.
stayed ignorant, we would have stayed blissful, is
If
your
we'd
argument.
stay after the, 25, 30 leaks to the roof, if we had done nothing, then we'd be liable. If the roof collapsed, why didn't you get a study? So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. So I'd rather be the damned if we don't or do.
Okay, last time when we had a report from, Miss can't remember her last name, the engineer anyway. We basically arrived at a conclusion that the short-term solution would increase the lifetime of the Sports Palace by roughly 5 to 10 years. And that a more full repair, rehabilitation would increase its lifespan by something in the order of 20 years. These aren't certain and certified numbers, but they are numbers that emerged out of our discussion with MPE, okay? Just to provide context. But anything else before we vote on this? Councillor Martinson.
How about if we add the, to the motion, add the $68,000 plus 20% contingency as part of the motion?
Okay, but what about that covers the saddles? It doesn't cover the other stuff that's been. No,
Snow removal?
The other stuff.
what was, I asked, here, on page 38, short-term solution, also, which is his third bullet, repairs to the building envelope to eliminate water infiltration into the structure, cost to be determined. That's the number that I'm amazed you're not
I thought
nailing
that,
down.
I thought that was the 20,000.
No, no. The 20% contingency is
No,
on
no,
the saddles.
Not the 20% contingency. I thought that was under the capital.
That just for that number one dressing room.
Oh, now I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, let me summarize. We approved 20,000 in capital. And that was to repair the membrane for dressing room number one. Okay, that's separate and distinct from this. This, the third bullet, when talking about eliminating the water infiltration, is the water infiltration elsewhere. Particularly if you've been in the building, water infiltration is a very polite word for a rainstorm in the building. And a lot of water came in on the second floor in that, Taekwondo at gymnastics and throughout and in the concession area. That's the water infiltration I think that this is referring to. I don't think this is a $20,000 job. This is more than that.
If we, say we install the saddles and we don't address the water envelope, infiltration, then Wendy Sung had mentioned that other glulam beams might be affected over the next 5-10 years, and that we'll have to put saddles on them.
Well, that water infiltration is due to the lack of drainage management. That's the water infiltration of what is essentially surface water. Water already down and is sitting in many cases underneath the bleachers or right up against the building and is slowly working at the butt ends of the beams. And that's not in that 20,000 that you're thinking of. We're talking about water infiltration right now is an unspecified dollar figure that we haven't had an estimate on before. Okay, Councillor Shunder.
This is going to be two separate contractors. So can we approve the 68,000 for the saddles and instruct administration to get quotes for the water management?
Well, if you're the one that's making the motion, when you read it, you will edit it as you like.
I'm just pitching it. Does that cover
No,
what
we can
we're
split
trying
that.
to get at?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, I think we should be splitting it. I said, I'm amazed that you guys thought that an unspecified number would pass us by. Okay, I think we've achieved sufficient clarity. I would now accept a motion to address the Sports Palace solution. Somebody word something.
Can I put an end that in there? Because I think we've got it covered.
Just read
That-
out the motion as you would like it worded.
That council direct administration to proceed with the repair of deteriorated components by adding a reinforced steel saddle around the affected area at a cost of 68,000 plus 20% contingency to be funded out of unrestricted reserves, and that council, you want me to stop?
Surplus.
Yeah, I think you should.
Yeah.
Full stop, Dick.
Okay, moved. Basically, the council approved the installation of the saddles.
It's not under the unrestricted reserves, it's under surplus.
Well, initially it'll come out of maintenance.
You want to?
Surplus.
Okay,
Surplus.
friendly amendment out of surplus, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's operating.
Yeah.
Okay. Without getting it word for word, Counselor Shunter has moved that we proceed with the implementation of the short-term solution as defined in the installation of the saddles for 68,000 plus the contingency of 20% to be funded out of operating.
Just bullet number 2 from the short-term solution, just the second point, right?
That's right. Is that wording now where we want to start this discussion? At least finish this stage of it? All those in favor of that motion? Carried. Now let's discuss how do we address the water infiltration? What do we want? Councilor Martinson.
I would say that our public works could do that. Like if you mill along the edge of the building and build it up with asphalt, the water's not gonna go in there. And then it's basically the removal of the snow. You gotta be on that all year round. And for you guys on the rec board, you can direct CM to tell our staff to make sure that they're cleaning it away from the sports palace off the roof. Yeah.
Well, I can't hear you. Please put your mics on when you're discussing.
Yeah, it'll come back to council.
Yeah, rec board can't make that decision. It's got to come back to council. I think.
I think Councilor Martinson is urging you
Yeah.
to nag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because we're gonna have to have better snow removal in there.
Yeah.
Because in all the years I worked there, we constantly plowed out between those two buildings.
So we have a motion forming, we have the form of a motion emerging that council direct administration to instruct Public Works to address the water infiltration issue as identified by MPE. Is that right, Councilor Minder?
Can we add in there in cooperation with the recreation staff? Because the recreation staff's involved with this as well. Public Works doesn't go in and remove that snow in between the buildings, I don't believe.
It's Public Works who does that.
Is it?
It is public work, or the recreation staff doesn't have snow removal equipment.
Okay, that's good. Just wanted-
I wouldn't want to mention anyway, because then all you get is finger pointing when nothing works. Okay? Do I have a mover for Public Works to address the water infiltration issue? Counselor Martinson, please sort of either read or say that motion for the record. That council,
Direct administration to have Public Works address the water issue
the water infiltration.
infiltration at the sports palace.
Do we need any further clarification on this?
That'd be around the perimeter, not the roof and whatever it is.
He may come back or the, the manager of Public Works might come back and say, well, he'll need some resources or equipment, additional equipment.
That's
Or-
for,
or
hold on.
special.
That's for you to answer and find. That's not for us to answer and find.
No, I'm just
Okay?
advising. that might come back.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Moving on then to JB Woods Continuing Care Request, and we're now on to page 53. Who's taking this one? I take it you are. Go ahead, Chanda.
So
You notice we're nicer to you than we are to David, eh?
that's good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I shouldn't say we, maybe I should say I am nicer to you than David.
So when Wendy and I had put this agenda together, at the time, JB Woods hadn't made their dollar amount that they were looking for the bus. But by Friday night, I had gone on Facebook and I'd seen they had made their goal and then some. So I just wanted to update you on that before you go through this RFD. So both buses, JB Woods and the Pleasant View, their buses are both fully funded now.
I would entertain a motion congratulating the two bodies on their successful fundraising. Councillor Martinson,
And receive it for information.
all those in favor? Carried. Okay, we're actually getting through this thing. We're on to the weed inspectors on page 63. CAO, want to introduce weeds?
This is an annual request of council just to approve the 6 people that have been put forward, nominated to be the weed inspectors.
Entertain a motion to appoint these individuals. Councillor Martinson, any discussion on these appointments? Questions?
This is ongoing. We do this every year. But
Oh.
they have to be appointed because they're county employees, yeah.
Okay, this is the appointment of our weed and pest inspectors. All those in favor is moved. Carried. Moving on then to the curling club request for financial support. We're on to page 65. CEO,
Well, nothing gets my curiosity and tying that up when we're accused of over invoicing our curling club or any other club that might be. So I investigated myself, and Shanda did too. And I made one error here when I said under invoiced by 7,000 per year. It wasn't per year. As the Excel spreadsheet here indicates, we under invoiced in 2023 by 6,000, over invoiced in 2024 by 4,600, and under invoiced in 2025 by 1,330. So overall, we under invoiced by 2,800. So I'm a little disappointed we'd get such a strident letter from the curling club, whom we have probably subsidized and bent over backwards, repairing their facility and keeping their facility going. So I put that in front of you, and I suggest that perhaps they instead of sending us a letter, they should come in front of council. I am curious about how many members they have and how much the curling club ice is utilized. I'm sorry?
okay. On questions or comments, Councillor Mignolet.
I had those same questions as what the membership is, what the membership fees are per person. Because I know curling clubs rate varies from municipality to municipality, but it's not cheap anymore. It's right up there with golfing, at least, if not more. And the other thing is also where those members reside, whether they're members of our municipality or outside of our boundaries.
Okay, Councillor Hanlon? No comment. Councillor Shunter? Councillor Temple?
Nothing for me.
Councillor Martinson?
Maybe they got to go back to natural ice.
I think that's a logical alternative. Deputy Mayor?
I'll find out how many members there are for next council or next meeting.
I've been talking to some of the the past members, people who aren't current members. And they're saying that even just 2 sheets would be sufficient. I only throw that in because it might be a factor if we are talking about multiplex. Okay, any other questions or comments? The motion, the option is given. I am looking for a mover. Councilor Minderline? No, please read the motion as recommended. If indeed that's what you're saying. On page 65.
The council accepts the report for information only and to have administration. Council meeting and scheduled delegation.
Exactly. Councilor Martinson?
Why don't we treat these guys the same as we treated the golf club? And give them $5,000 out of our council trust there that we have and go from there.
What, did we give him $5,000, the golf club?
We did.
I wanted to give them 4, you gave them 5.
Oh. I thought you'd won that argument. That's why I was pointing it.
No, I lost that argument.
Oh, that's probably because of him. Oh, that's right. You weren't there and we forgot about you. That's right. Counselor Minderline.
I wasn't there at that meeting to ask questions of that, but at the same time, dealing with the curling club now, I'd like to get the information I was looking for before I even come up close to a number for them.
Okay. Motion as read then. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, and now we're on to the CAO's report on page 72, in which David tells us what he's been up to. CAO?
Well, thank you, Mayor. Certainly dealing with the rollout of the economic development strategy. We had the Canuso public meeting. There's some work and a meeting with Synovus regarding vacant properties and working on development incentive costs and identifying the return on investment, cost benefit analysis, which it did. There was a number of phone calls, emails, and a meeting concerning who's responsible for the lane or what is really a driveway next to the Pleasant View Lodge condos. I think that's been resolved now. We have recommended that the condo association work with the Heart River Housing, but it's a driveway. It's not a road. It's not a lane, and it's not our responsibility. Attended the gun show, 11 and a half hours in the booth. And actually, time went very fast. Saturday was very busy and lots of people stopped by the booth and asked questions and put their sticky notes on our survey board and recreation center, recreation facility and potholes and everything else. So there's some good and usual requests. Attended the food bank emergency planning meeting, but really I'm not sure why they had the meeting because, we depend on the county and their experts there that would facilitate and instruct town agencies what to do, the food bank, the Friendship Center. Let's see, I attended the county meeting regarding peace officer services and collaborating with them and sharing our additional peace officer, or right now bylaw officer. And certainly the last 2 days since the financial statements came in Saturday, I spent a lot of time analyzing and trying to put out a message about the financial health of the town. And that's it.
Any questions for the CAO's report? Counselor Shunter?
Can you send out a list of everything that was on those suggestion boards at the end of the day on Sunday?
Yes.
Yes.
I meant to.
Okay, thank you.
That's
Hey.
it there.
Okay. I saw it on Saturday, but I didn't get to see it at the end, so I'll take a look.
Any other questions? My question is, you said you went to a food bank emergency planning meeting. What was the emergency?
Oh, they're just in anticipation of an emergency. They wanted people there to, so that they had knowledge of what the expectations are.
Oh, okay.
And hardly anybody showed up. It was me and one other person, two other people. So usually they'll have
Okay.
8 people.
This is all related to emergency management. It's
That-
not an
that's right.
emergency they are encountering.
That's right.
Okay. Any other questions of the CAO? Not hearing any. We're going on to our correspondence on page 70, starting with page 74. Oh, sorry. Motion to accept the report for information. Counselor Shunter? All those in favor? Carried. What would you do if that motion was defeated?
Non-confidence motion?
No?
Eh,
We do this one all the time, but it's actually an invalid motion.
You could
We
say,
just do it because we're comfortable with it.
I'm
But a
wasting my
motion,
time.
if must be able to be defeated
Mhm.
and return to the status quo. And if you return to the status quo, it'd have to be the status quo before the report that you just heard was given. It's hard to receive something you've not heard if you defeat it. We'll leave it at that. Moving on to Town of Blair, we've already commented on it, and the peace enforcement officers are accepting their. We're also got a very nice letter from the RCMP. The CAO and myself met with them, and there was also an assistant deputy minister from Alberta Justice at that meeting. And we again made our representation on the climbing costs of the RCMP contract. And just to summarize, the federal government pays 30% of all the RCMP policing costs in Alberta, leaves 70% over. The intent is that of the provincial government that they will pay 40% and the municipalities will pay 30%. And that's what everything's climbing up to. Moving on then to Ken Sargent House. Is the Ken Sargent House isn't the Musqueam Center, is it? Or is it? Yeah, it's the same. I'm just wondering if this is what. Anyway, they are keeping us informed and we thank them for it. Then we have the High Prairie FCSS Manager's Report for March. Any questions or comments on that? Councillor Martinson?
We were supposed to have a meeting, but it was canceled because of the floods.
Who was supposed to have a meeting?
The FCSS
Oh,
committee, me and Bryce. But they canceled it because of the floods.
I have a question. Unless my memory is really failing me, as it's often accused by my wife. Is this the first FCSS report we've seen? Have we had them frequently? I don't remember them coming up in correspondence. Every month we get one? No, yeah,
It comes into correspondence every month, though.
no.
We get it every month. Yeah.
I thought this is about the first time I've seen this one. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we got a very nice report, and where am I? Yeah, I just skipped over that. I thought it was attached to something else and I note it isn't. Peace Library. Councilor Brindleline, would you like to make some comments on this since you're our rep?
Sorry, usually I'm a bad one for not doing that. As they stated in there, they have so much in, but they get a lot of donations in that in. It's a large organization, very well organized. They're going to have another training session coming up at the end of May for board members. The stats are in there. You can read through them at your own leisure. I don't need to, I won't insult anybody, but not allowing you to read. I think it's important you read it sometimes. But it's one of the boards we sit on, and they work with our library. They take up things such as some of the steps where the province is stepping in, what libraries should be handing out to people, who they should be handing out to when. So they take on the political issues. And then they also work with our libraries to help them train our librarians to get funds themselves, how to go after grants, etc. So if anybody has any questions, you come see me after.
Okay. Useful information. And that's it for correspondence. Moving on then to the council's written reports. I just have one question of Councillor Martinson. You mentioned Lakes of the North Board meeting, which was the Regional Tourism Society. How's that one going?
It's going good. They're trying to sell memberships within each municipality along the lake. So if you have a business or whatever and want to be identified in their brochures and whatever, that she'll be coming down this way. And I told her that Stephen Matthews, who's the county rep, and myself would go with her out to different businesses and try to pitch her sale. So
Sounds great.
yeah. It's not geared just for Slave Lake. That's why we changed the name, so it wouldn't have that focus. So
Yeah, I think it's a good name change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other, Councillor Hanlon?
I do have a comment regarding my report. I included in there the poster that the High Prairie Aboriginal Interagency Group powwow was supposed to be on May 2nd. It's now been moved to June 6th.
6. Okay. And I have a question. Let's see, one other. This is Councillor Temple. You mentioned a JRB. Is that Joint Recreation Board?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what the initial stood for. Any questions or comments on the councilor's reports? Hearing none, entertain a motion to accept or receive for information. Councillor Hanlon. All those in favor? Carried. There was a request to go into closed session. Now, we need to have, we'll add the article out of the access to information afterwards when I get it nailed down for sure.
Third-party business